This is a real story, but not the kind that you hear usually. A serial killer has been caught red-handed, and now he's in court. People are shouting, yelling for his condemnation. They want him to be finished. He has a barrister pleading for him. But all the barrister is trying to do is, well, consider he's pleading, not that his client is not guilty, but that he has attenuating circumstances. Well, he was born in a very difficult family. His family was dysfunctional. They were poor, they were hungry, they were, he had bad influences in his life. He was not well, and blah, and blah, and blah. But never a minute will the barrister say, we are guilty. The barrister is clearly making a difference. He is okay, his client is not. He's only pleading for the client to be understood, forgiven, if possible, or looked at with leniency. But the Bible tells us another story. And we see that there is a move, gradual move towards Jesus Christ and his story. When Abraham in Genesis was pleading for Sodom and Gomorrah, he knew that they were going to be destroyed. He didn't say, forgive them, Lord. He said, Lord, if only there were a few just people there, would you destroy the whole town with them? Would you kill them because of the town that is bad? So it was making a difference between the just and the unjust. But then we come to Moses. And Moses was different. Time and again in the wilderness, the people of God were misbehaving, yelling, ungrateful, and name it, they did. And Moses was pleading for them each time, saving thousands and thousands from being killed, telling God, yes, I know you are just, and you cannot see unrighteousness, you cannot see bad stuff, but please forgive them. He did it several times, and at a point he told God, look, instead, if you absolutely want to kill these people, instead, just remove me from your book. What he was saying in effect is, let me suffer the consequence and not them. And I'm sure that none of us would have found it easy to say that kind of prayer. And God didn't listen to his plea. God said, I'm not going to remove you from my book. But God had mercy on his people nevertheless. And then we see Daniel, the prophet Daniel, praying and pleading for his people before God in prayer. And what he was saying was, we have sinned. We have done this. We have done that. And we know pertinently that Daniel himself didn't do any of this. He was talking for the people, but he didn't say them. He didn't say they. He didn't make a difference between I and them. He said, we have sinned. So he counted himself as one of them, bearing responsibility for them. He felt deep down that he was one of these people. Ezra was doing the same thing. When he prayed publicly, he said, we have sinned. We have done wrong. And then we come to the ultimate. Jesus that knew no sin, Jesus that was perfect, that could not be caught in sin, and who said to the Pharisees, who of you will ever convict me of sin? because he knew there was none. And yet, not only that he identified publicly with the people that had, been ungrateful and sinners and missed the point, but he identified even in death. He accepted to die for their sake. And I want to challenge us. I find it difficult. I thought about this. I don't know whether you have given it a thought one day. Could you identify with the abortionists, with the serial killers? Usually, they suffer the popular verdict. Away with that man! Kill him! Finish him! He's useless! And that's what we see on social media nowadays. And it's easily to tick and say, yes, I like that. I like the way they conspue them and insult them. And even it goes as far as, throwing our leaders to the wolves. The Prime Minister, the President, say, away with them, away with them. Do we find someone that will stand in the gap for them? God said, I looked for a man to stand in the gap, and I found none. None. So, I want to encourage us. Let's look at it again. We cannot be true intercessors. We cannot be true prayer people if we think that we are all that holy, all that perfect, and we say, nah, forget about it. We're not better than the Pharisees of old that said, I won't touch any foreigner. I won't touch any leper. I don't want to get salt. I don't want to get thrown into, tarred with the same brush. I'm different, I'm better. And we know we are no better. We are no better because if not for God's grace, you don't know where you could have found yourself. Secondly, because if we are not able to stand for them and ask God to forgive them, then we are not worth it. Look at the words of Jesus on the cross. Forgive them, Father. He was dying in torment, in pain, excruciating pain. He said, Father, forgive them. Why? They don't know what they are doing. They have no idea. And it's just like all these people that we find it easy to condemn. They don't know what they are doing. They may think they know. You may think they know. I may think they know. They don't. That's what Jesus said. For me, it was a revelation, but that is not easy enough to understand. What we have to do is to identify with them, because that's why we were given life. And that's why we were planted in this country or that country, that locality. Let God convict us of sin too, because we failed to give them the example they needed. We failed to reach out to them with the gospel. We failed to pray for them when they needed us. We have all failed. Let's come back to God in repentance today and help Him to change the situation there.